Welcome. So I want to share with you guys a new purchase, a new toy that I recently got that I'm pretty excited about. Something that I think is going to open up a lot more lakes, a lot more traveling, and that's my new camper. Check this thing out. This is my new to me, Palomino SS550. What's cool about this one is it's a pop-up camper. So you see up here, this pops up. I got a switch inside that'll lower it up and down. But the beauty of this is it's a very lightweight rig. So with this one, I'm still able to tow my bass boat as well as have this on the truck, because I've got an F-250, not a 350. So by using this one, I'm not going over, the weight limit of my truck and the towing capacity. So really cool. Let me show you inside just real fast. So step inside with me and let's check out the inside of the camper. So pretty cool, being that it's a pop-up camper, the ceiling raises up. There's 4 jacks inside here. I flip a switch and this lifts up. So not only does it make it really lightweight, but it gives you plenty of room to move around. I'm a little over 6'2", and I still got plenty of room, above my head. Up here in the front, I got a full-size queen mattress. This is really cool. I just ordered this one. Really excited for that. You don't have to sleep on some, tiny little, sleeping pad. Down here you got your refrigerator. These Dometic fridges, they run off of propane or electricity, which is pretty cool. Got a little kitchen area over here. You got a propane stove, you get your sink. There is a propane water heater on the outside that you can flip on. Actually, there's a switch right here for it. Down here you've got your heater to heat the inside here. The only thing this doesn't have that I wish it had, which I'll just put a little window unit in, is just an AC. But there's fans up inside the roof vents there. And then down here, this opens up, and I recently put in a new lithium battery. You've got your water tank there with all your wiring. It's also capable, you can install solar. It's already wired for that. That'll charge that. And then this over here, the previous owners, they kind of redid this. Kind of cool. I don't know what I think of it yet, but they kind of changed this up and built this little storage unit here. But then this is a table, but this also comes up and goes back down there, so it's flush, so another person can sleep here. So it's cool if you're traveling with somebody and you guys don't want to be right up here next to each other. And then, like I said, you got this cool little kitchen area and some more storage. And then there's Benji out there. Hopefully he likes this. We'll see. Anyways, let me share with you guys something that goes with this that's equally as important when traveling to make sure this thing's nice and secure. But like I said, really excited to get this out there and start traveling to fish some more of those rural lakes out here in Texas that got some big old bass, but not any civilization around. So this is my tow rig here. Pretty proud of this. I just recently got this truck. Took a lot of guided trips, a lot of honey hole reports for sale to buy this without financing. But it's a 2024 Ford F-250 with that 6.7 power stroke. Really happy about getting a diesel. This thing got a ton of power. But when it comes to securing a camper to this thing, there's a couple different options about how these things attach to the actual bed of the truck. So let me talk about that a little bit, and then I'll show you what I ended up going with. So for a lot of people, myself included, when you go buy a camper, the last thing you're really thinking about is like, how do you actually attach it to the truck? Especially me, I was really excited about getting this camper, getting out there, going fishing, camping with it. But as I started doing research, figuring out like, how am I going to securely attach this thing to my truck? I kind of learned there's like 3 different options, kind of 4 if you include some redneck engineering. But the first one I want to mention is what's called a belly bar. So what you'll have in between the gap between the cab of your truck and the bed right here, there's a bar that they sell that goes across, and you'll have a bracket that sticks out, and it'll stick out several inches. Now, they're fairly sturdy, but the con to that is it's permanent, right? So one, the install is not easy. You're going to have to remove the bed of your truck to be able to access that and bolt that in there securely. You're going to drill through the bed of your truck. And like I said, you're going to, this is permanent, so you're going to have some bolts, some nuts sticking out in the back of the bed of the truck. So not something I want to do. I guess if you were like full-time keeping one of these on your truck, might be an okay option. But again, it's bolting to the truck bed, which is what I was trying to avoid. The second option that I saw online was using it's like a company called Brophy makes them, a truck bed mount, basically, or a stake mount. So anyways, right here, these little tabs in the top of your truck rail there, or the bed rail, there's another one right here. Those pop out, and then you can insert stuff in them. So they make these mounts where it goes down into the rail of your truck bed here, and then there's clamps that would clamp on the inside here. Now, the benefit to these, they're fairly easy to install, no drilling or anything. But the downside to them is you're relying on, you know, your truck bed to hold everything, you know, big heavy camper. And a good point that somebody made online that, you know, got me thinking was that depending on your model truck, you might have, you know, 6 to 8 bolts that are holding this to the frame of your truck, right? And when you put a big heavy camper in there, you're putting a lot of faith in those bolts. The other thing too is that, you know, you're putting a lot of pressure on a small area of your truck. So, you know, depending on the truck, you know, these trucks are big, they're heavy, they're expensive, but the sheet metal's not, you know, as thick as it used to be on old trucks, right? So you run the risk that over time you fatigue that area, you might end up with a little dent in there. So not a great option. Kind of the redneck engineering method I mentioned is I've seen some people use tie down straps or short little turnbuckles and attach them down here to, you know, these tie down points, but that's more like where you're tying down lumber and stuff in your truck. So what I opted to go with, and which I think is the superior, the best method, is a frame mounted tie down. So in this video here, I'm going to talk and kind of show you guys, you know, how these things get installed. It's pretty simple. But a company called Torklift, they're out of Washington State. They're made, manufactured, fabricated here in the United States. Makes these ones. They've got 2 options, either steel or aluminum. But the cool things with these is that they attach to your truck frame, okay? So it doesn't get more sturdy than this. These things are super heavy duty. So when you're bolting, you know, or you're attaching your camper to your truck, they're not going anywhere. But the other beauty of it is once you get them installed, they're really discreet. So you can see right here, let me show you mine. I've got the Talon model. This is where it's going to attach. Oh, we've got a helper there. Excuse me, Benji. So with these, you can, sorry, Benji decided he needed to get up in here and help. So what I was showing you guys is the the cool thing with these frame mounted camper tie downs is that, you know, they're very discreet. So this pops out here, you know, and sticks out where your turnbuckles will attach to. And there's a cotter pin that goes up in here. I don't have it in right now, but you can see you can remove that. So when you get away from your truck, doesn't even look like there's anything there. It's down underneath your truck. So when you're not using your camper, it's discreet. Doesn't look like you have something sticking out on the side, something to bump into with your leg. And then when you're ready to go camping and put your camper back on, slide that in. There's a pin that goes in there. I don't know what that take me like 10 seconds. Super easy to install, but again, these things are super secure. I mean, these things are heavy duty. They're mounted to the frame of your truck with several, you know, pretty hefty bolts. They also utilize existing bolts on the truck, like for the leaf springs, as well as, you know, holes that are already existing in the frame. So there's no drilling, there's no fabricating. It's just, you know, fishing some bolts through the frame and securing this thing, you know, to the existing, you know, points on your truck that they attach to. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I install these. I already got this one in because I wanted to kind of show you how these work. But in my opinion, you know, the Torklift, the camper tie downs here that attach to the frame, that is the best way to go, especially if you're going to be, you know, mounting a camper to your truck and towing something like I plan to do, just because I don't want this camper going anywhere when I got my, you know, expensive Phoenix behind the boat. So let's get into it. So this is what I ended up going with, and that is the Torklift frame mounted camper tie downs. So like I said, these bolt to the frame of the truck. It doesn't get more secure than this. They've got 2 different kinds out there, you know, compatible with all, you know, big trucks, you know, Ford, Chevy, Dodge, doesn't matter. They got something for you. But they got 2. They got the Talons like this one. These are the aluminum ones. So I thought being, you know, a fishing guide, going out there, launching the boat on the water, you know, better for corrosion, a little bit more lightweight. And then they've got the steel ones as well. But I mean, you can see these things are sturdy. These are not going to go anywhere. You get some serious mounting hardware with these. And what's cool is this bolts to the frame of the truck, but then these, basically these will go into there when they're on the truck and they just slide in and out. You got a cotter pin that secures them. So when you're not using the camper, these aren't going to stick out off the side of it and stay there permanently. It just is super easy to pull this out, put them away when you're not using it, pop them back in when you're ready to use your camper again. So anyways, we're going to install these today. I'm going to show you guys how I do that. And you'll see once I get these things installed, you know, not only how easy it is, but how secure this is when it comes to securing the camper to the actual truck. All right, so we're going to get started with installing the tie downs for the front ones up closer to the cab of the truck. So I got all my parts laid out here. I like to stay organized when I do this. And I may decide to do this in a 2-part video, just depends on how long it takes. Usually takes a lot longer when you're trying to make a video from it. And then for tools, there's a couple things you're going to want. You know, set of wrenches. An impact gun is going to make your life a lot easier if you have one. There's one bolt that's pretty tough to get off of. Big hammer. I'm using channel locks just because I don't have some wrenches quite big enough the same size as this, but you'll see why we need that in a sec. And then just some sockets, stuff to turn some bolts. But if you're relatively handy and you can follow directions, these are pretty simple to install. So let's get underneath the truck. I am getting underneath the truck here, just up in front of the tire. This is your suspension, those are your leaf springs. First thing you're going to want to do, right up here, you got this big old bolt. So I've already got it backed out part way. But what you're going to do, and this is where that impact gun comes in, this is what is holding your leaf spring in. So this is under a lot of tension. You got another bolt on the back side of it. You're going to hold this one and then use that gun to back this out. Okay, and you're not trying to do it all the way, but just back it out about a 1/2 inch. And then with that big hammer, you're going to tap the back side of it and you're going to create a little bit of space. Well, what's cool about these, the Torklift tie downs, is that they utilize existing bolts and holes in the frame to create, a really strong system for holding your camper in place, but without drilling, without having to fabricate stuff. So first thing, like I said, we're going to use that impact gun. We're loosening this up. I'm going to knock that out with the hammer just a little bit further, but that's first step. So what I've done here is, this is the bracket right here for the tie down, so you can kind of see how it's going to insert here. This is that leaf spring bolt we undid, so you can see how the bracket slides behind this. So I just put a bolt up here temporarily just so I can support this. But then the next step, we're going to add a bolt right up in here. So check this out. So I already did one, but I want to show you how this works. So the kit comes with a bolt threader, I don't know what you want to call this little piece of wire here. But basically this wire, your bolt screws up into it. So now this is how you can fish it through the frame. You're going to get this specialty washer here, this other backer plate here, and this is going to go up into the frame of the truck. All right. Let me see if I can get up in here. So you can see, like I said, I've already done it. This is what's going to happen. But if you look underneath your frame right here, there's a hole big enough for all of that to fit through. So it takes a little finagling. So what I did was with this fish wire here, you can see, kind of hard to see, but I bent it a little bit. So you'll be able to push this through the frame, and then that's going to come up and you'll be able to pull it through there. And then you're going to put a washer, a lock washer, and then your nut. And we're going to torque that down to the correct specs. So got that one in, got the bolt here for the leaf spring, and then next we're going to get to the ones up here and do those properly. So now we've got this bolt up here installed correctly. So you want to put a washer on this side, and on the back side is going to be a washer, a lock washer, and then the nut, and then tighten that down. And now here's the next little tricky part, is that same hole in the frame, we're going to fish another one of those same bolt setups together through this, and it's going to come out right up here. So you can see you got this line here. You need to get that little wire through here. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. But there's an additional bracket, looks like this, that's going to go just like that. It adds additional support to it. So that's the next step. With the help of that fish wire, I was able to get this through there all the way up and through that bolt hole there, so you can see, and then I attach this one as well. That's pretty easy. You can see how that support goes on there. Little tip, what I found worked well is to take this wire and bend it almost like a 90 degree, and then you kind of work it around and it'll come through there. It's actually a little bit easier than I expected. So I'm now on the driver's side. I got the install with this. I figured I wouldn't, do it step by step. It's basically the same thing as the other side. So just kind of repeat the process. It's honestly pretty simple. The only thing I did want to point out here is you have the side impact bracket, I think is what it's called, but you're going to have 3 bolts behind here, and there's one up underneath. You can see that one there. Before you do this install, you're going to have to remove this. But basically what it does is it's going to, there's some retainer clips behind it that the bolts go into. There's one right back here, actually right where that bolt is, that you're going to remove. And then you can kind of see up there, there's a little square hole. You got to remove this because that gives you access to that larger hole, which is where you're going to fish the bolts through with that fish wire in order to be able to get these bolts through. You can see there's one up here and one right there. So remove this, and the instructions that it come with are pretty straightforward. The only real thing that could be a little tricky with this is just fishing those the wires through. But I mean, it's just a matter of getting that wire to go up through the frame up to there. It's really not that big a deal. Anyways, basically same thing to mount this one on here. As you can see, this is the nut for the leaf springs here. You got 2 other big bolts, some more up here. This thing is super sturdy. Like I said, this is the driver's side. Important thing when you're doing one of these installs, you gotta have a helper. Hi, Benji. He didn't want to leave me alone when I'm down here installing these. All right, so we've already done the front camper tie downs. Now it's time to do the back ones. These are the ones closest to the bumper. So for my truck, a 24 F-250, we're going with this one, the F3008A. So the Torklift website makes it really easy. They've got, a model for every truck out there. And like I said before, one of the huge benefits to these is just that there's no drilling into the frame. These use existing bolt holes, go into the frame of your truck, makes it super secure. So let's get started on these ones. So the first thing we're gonna need to do is install these hitch adapters. Now, because I have an F-250, not a 350 or a 450, there's just one little extra step here. The installation instructions cover it. But basically you've got these pieces of metal right here that these are gonna go up inside here. So to start, you're gonna use your fish wire here and you're just gonna thread this through. This goes through, and then this bolt, you're gonna take one of these larger bolts and one of these lock washers on it. And this here, basically just, you'll turn and thread that on there. That'll go over the threads of it. And now we'll be able to pull that up through here instead of dropping it down and jiggling around. Way easier. So as you can see, I've fished this bolt through here. Now you're going to take that plate that they give you, that's that adapter. So now that I have this bolt fished up through the frame of this, now we're going to use this plate that they give you. This is the hitch adapter. And you'll notice how it's cut. You see that's wider than that little spot? That needs to line up with that, okay? So this is gonna get torqued down, but it's important that when you put this on, it goes on the correct way. Make sure that they line up. A little tough to do one-handed. And then from there, you're just gonna use a flat washer, a lock washer, and then a nut. And this nut's gonna go on here, and then we're gonna tighten this all down. Like I said, just make sure that when you do that, it doesn't twist, and that gap lines up with that gap. They should be flush. Step super easy. Just take that part that you were just working on, and these right here, there's a big opening. This just slides into there. Something I should mention, you'll notice this little cutout right here. Make sure that is facing the back of the truck. Next up, we're going to take one of your larger bolts, a round washer there, flat washer. This little square piece, I forget what that's called. That's going to go right up. Let's see if you can see it through here. Just like that. Now, coming back around, kind of hard to do one-handed, but this is going to go in between there. So I'm going to pull that bolt back. That's going to go back there. So hopefully you can see that. It's a little hard to do this one-handed, but you can see how I kind of pulled that bolt back. And right back behind here is that square spacer. Now, you're going to use another washer, and then a lock washer and a bolt, and we're going to tighten that up. So I've done the same thing. This is the driver's side, but you can see it's identical. You've got your bolt here, your flat washer, that other little washer there. This is that spacer, and then same thing, flat washer, lock washer. Tighten that down all the way until that spacer right there is flush with the frame, doesn't move around. So as you can see, when you're looking at the truck, when you don't have the extenders attached, you don't even notice these are down here. Torklift also gives you these cool little caps that you can put over that when you're not using them, just keeps debris out of there. But as far as putting them in, it couldn't be easier. You got your extenders here. These simply slide into place, and you've got, two mounting holes. You got one here or one there, depending on how far out you want these to extend. And then you've got a cotter pin. You just line up that hole, and then voila, those things aren't coming out. Super secure. And as you can see, I've got the front ones, I've got the rear ones. They're labeled as well, makes it really easy. But honestly, I thought I was gonna have to do a two-part video, but installing these back ones, I don't know, that took like 10 minutes, and that's with me playing around with my phone. Had a little rain delay there for a sec. So super easy to install. Highly recommend. So if you're looking to get a camper, or you've got a camper and you're looking for a good option to be able to actually attach it to your truck, Torklift. That's where you want to go. There'll be a link in the description, with the product that I'm using. But like I said, very easy install, no drilling into the frame of your truck. Should you ever sell the camper, they're pretty easy to unbolt and remove and save for your next vehicle. But super heavy duty, they're not very heavy, so you're not adding a ton of weight to the actual truck, which was another consideration of mine. But yeah, really pleased with this product. So stay tuned. I'm planning to make some more fishing videos using the camper, getting out there. There's a few lakes in mind that I want to travel to this fall, especially this winter during my slow season. A couple lakes that I think will produce some big bass. And I think that camper is going to be perfect for them. So thanks for watching. I hope this helps. If you have any questions about the install, feel free to shoot me a message, leave a comment below. Torklift, they've also got really good customer service. They've got some good videos as well on YouTube, other than this one that I'm making here. So check those out as well. But thanks for watching, guys.